When you see it on video, it looks gorgeous. Trust me, it's just as gorgeous in person as it is on video.
To say guys we're excited to get the 2021 wiffle ball season rolling would be a massive understatement. Despite last year being a shortened season due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was one of the best years for professional fast-pitch wiffle ball in recent memory, and all of that hype it created continued to fester throughout the offseason. All this buildup would be released on April 24th, 2021, when 20 teams descended upon York, Pennsylvania for the 2021 Mid-Atlantic Wiffle Ball Opening Day. Pool play for the tournament would begin at 8 a.m. with some critical pool play matchups taking place at Shibe Park. However, the gridiron would be split in half between the 3 fields at Shibe Park and 3 satellite fields not a few minutes away that were built to accommodate the large opening day turnout. Starting early in the morning and running to sundown, the 2021 MAW Opening Day was a great kickoff to the season, and we are going to recap all the action here on Wiffle Statement.
It's like unreal.
The UFO kitty action?
You know about that astronaut kitty. LSG.
Come on. My socks are better, bro. What you got over here? Wow, good dog.
Sock off? Early morning games can be a struggle for all. One team that looked like they were getting an early morning nasty cup of coffee were the short balls, who would have to play the massively hyped Powerhouse team of Voodoo. After Jordan Robles pitched a seemingly effortless 3-up, 3-down top of the first, it looked like it was Voodoo's time to roll. But little did they know that Frankie Campanella came to play that day. Not only did he match Robles with a 3-up, 3-down inning of his own, but he would deliver a pair of RBI hits in the game, one of them a solo shot to dead center. Frankie would cap off the game by completing a no-hitter and upsetting the Powerhouse Voodoo in their first franchise game 2-1. Right next to them on Buffalo Field, we had an absolute marathon of a battle between the East Coast Elite and the Juggernauts. Chris Sarnowski and Mike Weiner would exchange zeros early on, and no team would be able to push a run across the plate. The game would go into extra innings, and per MAW rule, any pool play game going into extras will start the inning with the bases loaded. And after East Coast Elite weren't able to do anything in their half of the inning, the Jugs would merely need a base on ball to win the game with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah. Yes! Give me up, kid. Come on.
But Gino Joseph would slam the door, sending this game into the 7th, still tied at 0. However, in the 7th, it was Tim McGillrath's turn to be the hero. That immaculate catch by Tim McGillrath would limit the damage, but East Coast Elite had still been able to put up 2 runs in their half of the inning to take the lead, and they would turn to Gino once again to hold back the Jugs offense.
Come on, kid. All you.
This walk-off home run by Tim McGillrath not only sealed the 5-2 victory for the Juggernauts, but it also sparked the team for the day, as the Juggernauts would go on to shut out Earl and the short balls to escape pool play undefeated at 3-0. The other team to make their way out of pool play at a 3-0 record would be the Stags. Led by the veteran pitching of Kevin Norris and T-Weg of C4 fame, they would shut out the Aces and Dinos and Dragons in order to go undefeated early on. Pool play would begin to wrap up around noon with an absolute barn burner of a game between the Great Lakes Legion and the Wiffleaholics. A Midwest versus East Coast matchup that featured the stellar pitching of both Mike Toohey and Cam Smith. Neither pitcher would give up a single hit throughout the first 5 innings, each pitcher throwing absolute filth with a lot of pepper behind it. But in the first inning of extras, Mike Hogan of the Legion would get a hold of a riser right down the pike to end the game in walk-off fashion, sending the Wiffaholics home and putting the Legion into a play-in game to advance to the quarterfinals.
Pitch 5-6 walk-off, please. Thanks, guys. What a victory. Let's start with the Grand Slam, Hogan. With first pitch, what the hell were you thinking?
He was throwing that low riser all game, and I just guessed on it and got the bat out. And been laid on it all game. I finally got the bat out in time and connected, man. First big bat homer ever for me.
Shit, dude, he was killing us. He was throwing better than I was, but a couple big situations, but a couple big strikeouts got us out of some games. A couple good defensive plays by these guys, so they get the credit, man.
Yeah.
The Great Lakes Legion looked to carry that momentum they got from the huge win over the Wiffaholics into the playoffs, but they would have to face a furious Voodoo team that had struggled throughout pool play. Famed pitcher Sean Steffi would make his first start of 2021 in this play-in game, and he would absolutely smother the Legion's bats, not giving up a hit and being clocked at 95 miles an hour. Steffi would also help himself out by pummeling a solo home run. He would go on to close out the game, moving Voodoo on to face the Stags in the final 8. Taking the field after that play-in game would be a rivalry matchup between Earl and the Meats. Earl, despite having an up-and-down day, had been able to rely on the steady pitching of Connor Young and Dan Whitener to carry them throughout the day. This would be no different in this playoff game, as the two teams would match ace on ace and trade strikeout for strikeout. Ultimately, Dan Whitener would outlast Kayvon, shutting out the Meats to secure the 1-0 win, sending Earl to the Final Four to face the Juggernauts. At the same time, Voodoo had entered their Final 8 matchup with the Stags. It would be an interesting inner squad of sorts, with the two halves of the 3-time national championship team C4 facing off against one another. Kevin Norris and Ty Wegerson for the Stags, and Sean Steffi and Ed Packer for Voodoo. Voodoo's offense would get to Ty early on thanks to a pair of home runs from Jordan Robles and Sean Steffi. Steffi would get the start again for Voodoo, and he would hold that early lead. However, T-Weg would put the Stags on the board with a solo shot in the third, but this would prove not to spark a rally. Steffi would bear down and cruise through the next 2 innings to push Voodoo to the Final Four with a 4-1 win over the Stags. So the stage for the Final Four was set at Sheff Field and Tom Schuler Field, respectively. On one side, an electric matchup of longtime league rivals of Earl and the Juggernauts, and on the other side, a matchup of experience between Voodoo and East Coast Elite. The Earl and Jugs game would start with a bang from early home runs from Kenny Rogers Jr. and Dan Whitener. The Jugs would hang in there, scoring in the bottom of the second, but team captain for Earl, Connor Young, would cruise through the next innings, keeping his team's 2-1 lead. Going into the bottom of the last, the Jugs looked to get a spark from someone to keep their run alive. This clutch solo shot from Chris Sarnowski would tie the game at 2 apiece to send it to extras. After that home run, Earl would make the decision to pull Connor Young for the fresh arm of Johnny Costa. Johnny Costa would close out the inning and trade zeros with the Jugs in the 6th. However, the Jugs' powerful offense would begin to get to him in the bottom of the 7th. They would get the winning run to third with clutch hitter Brian DiNapoli coming to the plate. And so, in anticlimactic fashion, the Juggernauts would walk off on a wild pitch to advance to the opening day tournament finals. The other Final Four game of Voodoo versus East Coast Elite would feature a stellar pitching matchup. On one side, we had Scott Fleeser of Palisades WBL fame, pitching in his first fast pitch game in a couple years. On the other side for Voodoo, David Road Toast Wood would take the ball for the first time since the 2019 Fast Pitch National Championship. Toast had undergone surgery at the beginning of 2020, and after a year of rehab, this Final Four game would be his return to pitching.
Somehow, someway, we ended up here.
Long day, huh?
Oh my God.
Who's throwing this game?
We got our ace, shouldn't say ace, one of our better guys, Toast fresh off Tommy John. Facing a great team, East Coast Elite. It's going to be a fun one here. This is why we come.
With the dramatic matchup set, spectators settled in for what was set to be an exhilarating pitcher's duel. However, Kenny Stengel had different ideas. He would take a hung drop curve deep to give East Coast Elite an early 2-0 lead. Toast would shake back after this and shove for the rest of his outing, not giving up another hit. However, this would not be the headline for the game, as Scott Fleeser showed that he is still a dominant pitcher in the 2021 wiffle ball market. He would strike out 13 while only walking 1 and never relinquishing a hit. The revered batting lineup of Voodoo fell flat, and Fleeser would lead his squad to a 2-0 win, punching their ticket to the finals to face the Juggernauts. To close out an exciting day of whiffs, we would have a stellar rematch between the Juggernauts and East Coast Elite to see who would take home the championship belt on opening day. The game would get to a late start and would be played in adverse conditions as the temperature dropped and it began to spit rain. However, this did not seem to affect legendary batter Wiffman. On the first pitch of the game from Brian DiNapoli, Wiffman would put East Coast Elite in front with a solo shot. This lead would be given to starting pitcher Devin Torres, who was going into the game after a long wait where he had to warm up, cool down, and then warm up again in the chilly weather. Nonetheless, Torres would go to work in the top of the first. This oppo shot from Tim McGillrath would be a quick response for the Jugs, which tied the game at 1. East Coast Elite looked to respond, but DNAP began slicing and dicing in the second with a 3-up, 3-down inning. In the bottom of the second, the Jugs offense would strike again with an RBI single from Chris Sarnowski. While Devin would continue to fight his way through batters, the Jugs offense just began to pour it on. When the smoke finally settled, the Jugs had taken a commanding 8-1 lead going into the final frame, with DNAP continuing to cruise on the flat hill. With that out, the Jugs had capped off an opening day tournament win with an incredible team effort from the first game of the day to the last. They had gone 6-0 on the day and pummeled pitchers in every single game. They will be sure to try and keep this momentum rolling into the rest of the regular season and into the postseason as well. Congratulations to the Juggernauts for an opening day tourney win, and congrats to all the teams for showing out for an amazing day of whiffs at MAW. And that'll do it for this Wiffle Statement recap. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did and want to see more wiffle ball content, well, first of all, you can like this video and subscribe to Wiffle Statement. Next, you can head on over to the MAW channel to check out the full video of the finals game and also all the other amazing highlights from the opening day weekend. Per usual, all those links I mentioned are down below in the description of this video, so please be sure to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And as always, my name is Ben. Get out there and play some whiff, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Goodbye.